What's going on, guys? Nick Lesagore here, Exit 12 Homebrew in the house, in the basement of Exit 12 Homebrew in the brewery. It is 6:15 a.m. Everybody else in the club is probably sleeping right now, but I gotta brew some beer. I'm very excited for this brew day. More excited than I've been in a while, other than when Mike came and visited from Pennsylvania. This brew day is actually gonna be using fresh whole cone hops from Exit 12 Farms, just on the other side of this wall. These are heritage variety hops from the Michigan area. I'm so excited. This is gonna be what I call a harvest ale. So it's gonna be a little bit closer to maybe like an amber ale or a West Coast IPA. So it's gonna be a little bit darker in color, that kind of a little bit of that brown, you know, that light brown. Looking for real good clarity on this. So we're going in, I'll share the recipes. The first time we haven't done this in a while. So I'm gonna go in with 14 pounds of the local 2-row from Valley Malt out of Hadley, Massachusetts, a pound of Carapils, 12 ounces of American honey malt that we got from NHC this past June, and then 8 ounces of Caramel 60 that I got from Mike. Mike had a ton of Caramel 60 and he said he wanted to give us some, so I think I got like 2 pounds of it. So I'm gonna utilize some of that. In terms of the hops, because this is a wet hop beer, so that's what everybody wants to know. Millennium, we have a pound of Millennium pellets. With whole cone hops, you have to get quite a bit in order to match the pellet. Because the pellets are, ground up and form the way that they are. So there are gonna be a little bit of pellet hops in this. So at the 60-minute mark, a half ounce of Millennium, and then from there, no other hops except for at the 10-minute mark is when we see my whole cone Columbus, which is not Michigan bred, but they had them in stock, so I figured I'd grab some. Prussian, and then at the 15 minutes at the whirlpool mark, at 170 degrees, we're gonna go with Arcadian and Hartwick. So these hops are supposed to give off some piney flavors, some orange, and then I believe it may be the Prussian or the Hartwick that give off like some of that pineapple kind of character. And then I treated the water with calcium chloride and gypsum. And then the yeast, Mangrove Jack's M36 Liberty Bell, is supposed to help drop out some of the byproduct of brewing and make the beer a little bit clearer. The first time I used Mangrove Jack's yeast was actually for the Partagal Porter from that triple brew day with Mike, which is actually sitting in my kegerator now, currently carbing. I just kegged it yesterday. So I have to clean a keg, I have to pick some hops. It's gonna be a very busy brew day. Definitely needed the coffee today. Got a nice hot cup of coffee. Gonna start picking some hops soon, and we're actually gonna start mashing in. So let's get going with this brew day. Just put in a lot of grain right there. I'm mashing in at the 1.3 quarts per pound ratio. It's gonna create a bit of a thicker mash, a more authentic mash from like what you see on craft beer documentaries and things like that. A lot of people go with 1.5, even as high as 1.7. I actually think most people probably go as high as 1.7. Just creates a thinner mash. It helps. I mean, you're not putting in as much sparge water, but I also think on some level, because you're adding more water, so it's kind of watering down the beer. It's also not allowing you to fit as much grain. That's another big thing. The lower your quart to pound ratio, the more grain you can fit. Now, the thicker it's gonna get, and ultimately could cause a stuck mash when you're recirculating. There's a lot of things that can happen, so you really gotta be careful with how much really got to be careful with how much you lower that metric. You can see we're already starting to get pretty thin here. Got my brew in a bag. Should help make cleaning a little bit easier. Oh yeah, this is a thick boy. I've brewed at 1.3 before, quarts per pound. But this is a little bit thicker than I remember it. All the grain. I have to mix this in good. What I might do, grab a little bit of water from the spout to get in here, because there's a lot of water in the unit. It's just not in the malt pipe directly. I just took some water from the bottom. There we go. That's a little bit better. There we go. That's an old brewer's trick. Not all the grain is covered. So I think what's going to happen is when I'm recirculating, the water level is going to come up. For now, I just want to make sure that there's no dough balls. I'm going to keep an eye on this, even though I got to pick some hops, and we'll go from there. 149 is the mash temp. We're there right now. I'm gonna put the top on this bad boy. Set a 10-minute timer to let the bed settle. And then we're gonna start recirculating. All right, we hit our 10-minute timer for the mash rest. I'm turning on the pump, but I'm turning it down because I don't want to overflow the malt pipe. I'll try to pick this up so you can see it. This is our recirculation system. I don't believe in hot side aeration, but we are recirculating now. I'm gonna take a sample, pH, throw it in the freezer. We're gonna take a sample, hoping we're on point so I can hop outside and start picking some hops. All right, we were shooting for in the 5.4 range. Currently sitting at 5.27. I will absolutely take that. That is more than good enough for me for this beer. So I'm gonna go hop outside and I'm gonna pick some hops, 5.28 Kabbalah Bang. The Columbus hops are just about, they're ready to pick. Got a couple of dead ones. I'm actually, comparatively, I'm pretty late in the season. This is September 11th, September 10th. And so there's a couple of hops that are turning brown. But these cones are the most mature of all of the ones that I have. So I'm gonna start picking these Columbus. First, we gotta cut down the bines. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut down the cord. I'm gonna cut down the string that I have set up. Because I'll be replacing that every year. I'll let that down easy. Oh yeah. Cut down the bine. We'll go here. As well as the string. Okay. Just slides right off, perfect. My first year doing these hops. Check those things out. As you can tell, some of them are a little brown, but the lupulin inside should be plenty good. God, that smells so good. Look at that thing. So what I'll eventually do is I'll cut the plant down to about a foot or two. Look at the size of that cone. Cone madness. Cut the vine down to about a foot or two. Geez, these cones are huge. And then I'll put some hay or some peat moss. Over the tops of these barrels. And that'll help insulate them, protect them from our colder winter months. For now, I'm a hop picking machine, babe. Let's go. All right, now it's time for the Prussian. This is the hop that's going in with the Columbus. Drop that down. Kabang. Ooh, that landed very nicely. The arm length is much wider on these ones. Come right off. Ooh. Down it goes. All right, we're gonna pick these. Then we only have 2 plants left. Okay, We got 15 minutes left until the end of the mash. I still have 2 more plants to pick, so this is gonna be an extended mash. But what I wanna do is I wanna weigh out the hops and see what we have for a yield on the Cascade and the Prussian, which are gonna be going in together at the 10-minute mark. I'm zeroing out a 5-gallon bucket. I'm gonna throw the Cascade on, sorry, Columbus. We're gonna throw the Columbus on first. Okay, 9.1 ounces of Columbus. And 4.3 ounces of the Prussian. Let's head back outside. We're gonna pick more hops. Okay, what I'll do now is all the hops are picked. We are going to be doing a 90-minute mash because hop picking ran over a little bit and I forgot to heat the sparge water. So now we're gonna weigh out more hops. These are the Whirlpool edition hops of Arcadian and Hartwick. So we're gonna start with the Arcadian to see how much we have. Admittedly, so with the Arcadian and the Hartwick, really these hops should have been brewed with like a week ago. I'm starting to see degradation, so I didn't pick every single hop. 4.7 wet ounces of the Arcadian. 4.7 ounces. Oop, 4.6, 4.7, 4.6. Let's call it 4.6. And now for the Hartwick, we'll see how many wet ounces we have. 4.2. So in wet hops, wet whole cone hops, that is almost 9 ounces of hops. I think that's 8.9, 8.8 ounces of hops in total for the Whirlpool. I'm gonna do some calculations and then I'll put it into the Brewfather app and see what we get. Took a sample of the first runnings just to get an idea where we're at. It looks like we're sitting at 0.63. To put it into perspective, what we want for a pre-boiled gravity is 0.51. So we'll see how much we get that down adding the sparge water. All right. The 10-minute mash is up. I am going to shut the pump off. I'm gonna grab a bucket to take the lid off. All right. Oh yeah. Looking good, smelling delish. All right. I love the new legs on this Anvil malt pipe, the way they sit on the unit itself. So let's get a little foot in. Ooh, that's hot. All right, that is hot. So that means we're grabbing some nice gloves. Mike, when he came over, he had some really nice gloves that I'm gonna end up buying for us, for Brandon and I on Amazon. But for now, these ones I bought off Amazon, which stink, are gonna have to do. Okay, let's pick this bad boy up. Okay. I'm actually gonna turn this around so I can see the volume markers. I know it looked like I was just struggling. Looks can be deceiving. That thing is filtering nicely. I'm gonna turn this up to boiling temps and we're gonna start sparging. We are sparging with a little under 3 gallons, 2.79 gallons. So let's continue on with this brew day. Okay, we've hit 170. My microphone battery ran out, so we're going no mic on this. And I am now adding the Whirlpool hops. I believe it was Arcadian and Hartwick. I got the pump going. And the reason why I'm putting the hops in the bag is so that it doesn't clog up the pump, essentially. I'm relatively confident the power of the pump, if it got a hop jammed in there, could probably push it through fairly easily. But it's just good to be sure. So we're going to Whirlpool this. Let the pump do its thing. And let this sit for 15 minutes. Smells like a very interesting beer. I'm so excited. All right. 15-minute hop stand. 15-minute Whirlpool is over. Whoa. I'm gonna let this drain out. Shut the power off. Let these hops drain. The bag is actually doing a great job of filtering out the liquid. I've seen videos using whole cone hops or even pellet hops where you really have to squeeze the bag, but I don't think I really have to do that here. Sitting at, right now, we're at 169 degrees, sitting at just below 6.5 gallons, probably closer to, we're at right below 24 liters. I'm gonna shut off the pump. All right, we've cooled down to 68 degrees, ready to transfer. I've been letting this sit for about 10 minutes. We're sitting at 24 liters just about, which is around, I think, 6.25 gallons. I added an extra half gallon for pre-boil. I don't think I really had to add that. From a hop absorption standpoint, I didn't see much of a difference because 5.5 gallons is going in here, so I really don't think I had to up it that much, but it's an experiment. You live, laugh, learn, love. Isn't that the saying? So we're going to transfer this into the fermenter now. Midway through transfer, I'm going to stop it, take a gravity reading, and see where we're at for OG. Okay, we're all cleaned up. All I have to do is wipe the floor down, clean the floor up. We have beer here in the keg. Let's go over some numbers first. Finished, our pre-boil gravity was 1.047. Our OG is 1.053. I
I was shooting for 0.68 to get about a 6.5% beer. I'm looking right now at about a 5.5% beer. So not great. It's fine, we'll deal with it. With the amount of hops that I added, because it was so small, the lower ABV might actually help bring out more of the bitterness in the hops and those other aromatic characters. But I need to go back to the drawing board and figure out, is it the 1.3 quart per pound ratio? I know for sure if I'm adding almost a gallon more, my neighbor is mowing his lawn. If I'm adding almost more than a gallon more of sparge water, I know adjusting those quart to pound ratios kind of takes the amount of water from the sparge water bucket, adds it to the HLT bucket, and back and forth we go. So I'm aware that it's just kind of reallocating water. With that said, I've always been low on my sparge water volumes using the Anvil Foundry. Some folks say the Anvil Foundry is not set up for sparging. It's an all-in-one vessel that you can throw all the water in. I don't do that. So maybe increasing that quart to pound ratio, taking a look at the calculator of how much my grain absorption is. There are some things to look at because I know it's not the crush because the first runnings were at 0.61, 0.62. So that put us pretty on par for that 0.68 OG if we only added a gallon and a half or so of water. So regardless, we are going in with, looking at about 5.5% beer, going in with Mangrove Jack's Liberty Bell. I believe Mike Trans Am guy is brewing. He's a Homebrew Club member, BrewTubers, www.brewtubers.com. He uses this yeast, has used it before on his Oktoberfest. Tilt is all set up. The convenience of dry yeast over liquid is immeasurable. We still love using the liquid stuff. All right, the yeast has been pushed. I'm gonna throw this on about 10 PSI and we'll monitor this thing as it goes. Overall, an awesome brew day. Got done right around noon, a little bit before noon. Time to go enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks so much for watching. L'chaim.